Did you know the king of Chinese e-commerce once put on silk robes and did kung fu on camera? Jack Ma isn't just the billionaire brain behind Alibaba. Over the years, he's built up this almost mythic aura around him, with a life that looks less like a typical CEO schedule and more like some wild mix of martial artist, performer, collector, secret philanthropist, and, if you believe the wildest rumors, would-be space colonizer. Let's walk through who Jack Ma really is and the stranger-than-fiction claims that follow him, from things he's proudly put on display to the projects he prefers to keep in the shadows. One of the most surprising sides of Jack Ma is how deep his connection to martial arts runs. This isn't some midlife, I do a little yoga on the side thing. He's talked for years about practicing Tai Chi daily, and he's been at it for decades. In 2017, he even put himself front and center in a short kung fu film called Gong Xiao Dao. A lot of people assumed it would be a cheesy vanity project, but he actually appeared alongside real martial arts champions, playing up his Tai Chi skills on screen. Behind the cameras, he said the practice is less about looking tough and more about keeping his mind calm in high-pressure situations. There have been plenty of reports of him leading Tai Chi sessions with Alibaba employees, literally using martial arts as a way to set the tone for the workday. For him, it's part stress management tool, part philosophy, part brand. That showman streak doesn't stop with kung fu. Jack Ma has another side that tends to catch people off guard when they first see it. He loves to sing, not just in the shower either. Over the years, he's appeared on stage at Alibaba's huge company events, grabbing the mic in front of tens of thousands of employees and performing like he's the headliner at a festival. He's even shared the stage with one of China's most famous singers, Faye Wong, in a duet that had people comparing it to a tech billionaire jumping up with a superstar pop act. What makes it more striking is that he's never claimed any formal musical training. By all accounts, he just leans in and performs. He said in the past that singing lets him connect with people on a different level. In those moments, he isn't Chairman Ma or the face of Alibaba. He's just Jack, reminding his audience there's a person underneath the suit. Beyond the lights and stages, there's a much quieter side to him that doesn't always hit mainstream news: his environmental work. Jack Ma has put serious money into nature conservation and clean water projects inside China. One of the most talked about efforts is his involvement in a large nature reserve, the kind of protected area that gives endangered animals a shot at survival. Reports have linked him to projects safeguarding species like the Siberian tiger and to clean water initiatives in rural regions where basic safe drinking water can't be taken for granted. Unlike his tech ventures, he doesn't constantly advertise these moves, and much of it has been handled low-key through foundations and partnerships. He's also been vocal in speeches about how protecting the environment is just as important as economic growth, which is not a small statement from a man whose name is practically synonymous with Chinese e-commerce. Inside that same quieter lane is his reputation as a serious art collector. While most fans know Jack Ma is the face behind online shopping platforms, auction house insiders know him as a buyer who does not hesitate to bid big when he sees something he likes. He's said to own major works from high-profile Chinese artists and has been linked to purchases of Western masterpieces as well. Back in 2015, he reportedly spent over $20 million on a single painting at a Sotheby's auction, treating it as both a cultural asset and a long-term investment. Much of his collection is stored in private facilities, not open to the public, which has only added to the mystique. People talk about him as if he's building his own private museum vault, where art is both passion and portfolio. Education, though, might be the area where his influence could last the longest. Jack Ma started his career as an English teacher, and he's never really let go of that identity. Through the Jack Ma Foundation, he has funded rural education across China, training teachers, improving schools, and giving grants to areas that have historically been left behind. He's talked repeatedly about how the classroom, not just commerce, is where the future is shaped. Beyond charity, he's put resources into experimenting with AI-powered tools for schools, looking at how technology can personalize learning for kids in crowded classrooms. He's also said more than once that after stepping back from Alibaba, he wants to return to education in a more direct role. It's not hard to imagine him one day back at the front of a classroom, using everything he's learned at the top to influence how the next generation is taught. Then there's his fascination with space. While some billionaires pose next to rockets, Jack Ma's link to the stars has mostly come through investments and advisory roles. He's backed Chinese space and satellite startups working on things like satellite internet, the kind of technology that could beam high-speed access to remote corners of the planet. He's also served as an advisor to lunar exploration efforts in China, tying his business experience into a very different kind of frontier. He's spoken about how space technology could help solve problems on Earth, from connectivity to climate monitoring. On top of that, he's floated the idea of space tourism as a future business frontier, hinting that one day, regular people, not just astronauts, might travel off-world. Sport is another arena where he's gone far beyond the casual fan level into full-scale ownership and influence. Jack Ma bought a major stake in Guangzhou Evergrande, one of China's biggest football clubs, turning it into a powerhouse that dominated domestically and grabbed continental titles. He also became a key backer of One Championship, an Asian mixed martial arts promotion that has grown into a serious rival to Western MMA brands. But for him, this hasn't just been about trophies and ticket sales. He said he believes sport is a training ground for life and business, teaching discipline, resilience, and teamwork. That's part of why he's pushed plans for sports schools and academies inside China, where kids can develop as athletes and as future leaders, with coaching, tech, and education blended together. His taste for high-end wine is less about stadiums and more about terroir. Over the last decade, Jack Ma has bought vineyards and wineries in major wine regions like Bordeaux in France and the Yarra Valley in Australia. One of the headline purchases was a 16th-century chateau in Provence that came bundled with its own vines. These aren't random splurges. He said he wants to help introduce quality wine to Chinese consumers and deepen China's connection with global wine culture. True to form, he doesn't just buy into tradition, he looks for ways to inject technology. He's expressed interest in using data and AI to refine vineyard management, predicting harvest times and optimizing production, blending old-world craft with new-world tech. If that sounds luxurious, it fits with another element of his private life, a secluded island retreat. Reports say that in the mid-2010s, Jack Ma bought a private island in the South China Sea and turned it into kind of eco-luxury sanctuary. Think upscale villas, clear water, and a power system designed around renewable energy rather than diesel generators. The island is said to have its own organic farm, growing fruits and vegetables on site, and it doubles as a retreat location for top Alibaba executives and key partners. The idea is part getaway, part strategy camp, part proof of concept that sustainability and comfort can coexist. Beneath all of this is one of the least publicized but most impactful parts of his legacy, his approach to philanthropy in rural China. Under various initiatives, Jack Ma has funded a network of centers in underserved areas that combine education, health services, and business support. Rather than simply donating money and walking away, these projects focus on helping communities build skills and capacity. Some programs have used data analysis and tech tools to decide what each village most urgently needs, whether that's agricultural training, small business coaching, or better access to healthcare. Early results from those regions point to higher school attendance, better health outcomes, and a rise in local entrepreneurship, all without splashy press conferences. On the hardest tech edge, Jack Ma is also associated with a high-end research lab operation, where work on advanced AI and even quantum computing has been underway. This is where some of the most ambitious visions live, systems that could predict market behavior, invent new materials, or tackle problems that are currently beyond regular computing. The reported budget for these teams runs into the billions, signaling a long-term bet that whoever leads in these fields will shape multiple industries in the future. For Ma, it's a continuation of the mindset that built Alibaba: anticipate where the world is going and get there first.
None of this happens in a vacuum. Jack Ma also spent years building political and diplomatic connections. He's a member of the Chinese Communist Party and has met with leaders from Washington to Moscow to Paris, representing both Chinese business interests and his own vision for global digital trade. The United Nations tapped him to serve on a high-level panel on digital cooperation, giving him formal input into how global tech rules might evolve. Alongside the official roles, there are plenty of whispers that he's played informal middleman at times, helping smooth tensions or open channels between entities that don't always talk easily to each other. It's impossible to verify every back-channel anecdote, but the pattern is consistent. He operates in rooms where both money and policy are on the table. Then you get to the really speculative sci-fi sounding side of the Jack Ma mythos, his supposed interest in longevity and even immortality research. Various reports and conference sightings have tied him to investments in biotech companies working on anti-aging technologies, from therapies aimed at slowing cellular decay to more extreme fields like cryonics, where bodies or brains are preserved at ultra-low temperatures in the hope future science can revive them. He's been connected to high-level longevity gatherings in Silicon Valley, where scientists and ultra-wealthy backers trade ideas on extending human lifespan. Publicly, he's framed this kind of research as a way to give humanity more time to solve deep problems, whether driven by idealism, curiosity, or simple human fear of the clock. It adds another layer to how far ahead he's thinking. And then there are the wildest rumors of all, talk of massive underground complexes and off-world colonies. In some tellings, Jack Ma is funding a vast underground complex beneath Hangzhou, a self-sufficient city equipped with living quarters, workspaces, food production, and independent energy systems, a futuristic experiment in sustainable urban design and, depending on how dramatic you want to be, a potential fallback zone in case of disaster. In others, he's pouring money into research on space habitats and terraformable environments alongside Chinese space entities and private firms, with training programs quietly preparing people for long-term life in space. These last claims live on the thin line between insider scoop and internet legend, but the fact they even circulate gives you a sense of how people perceive his scale of ambition. Put it all together, and you get a picture of Jack Ma that's a lot more layered than tech billionaire. He's a Tai Chi practicing, stage-singing ex-teacher who built one of the world's biggest e-commerce platforms, collects serious art, buys vineyards and islands, throws his weight behind education and environmental projects, and sits close enough to power to help steer how technology and trade evolve. Around the edges of that, you've got rumors of underground cities, moonshot labs, and space colonies. Some parts of that portrait are well-documented fact, others are half-seen through reports and hearsay. But either way, Jack Ma's built a life big enough and strange enough that people genuinely wonder what he's going to do next.